Okay, so we're here in an attic today, and we're getting started here. Late winter, but we're trying to kind of get started on some air conditioning work early this year. It's going to be a pretty busy year for us. So I wanted to make kind of a before video on a job we are getting started on here. This is a pretty big mess, and we're gonna try to correct everything here this year. So this is a 2.5 ton air handler, R22. This is gonna stay. The homeowners want to run this air handler and condenser for another couple of seasons if they can. So the real issue with this job, and at this house, this is a ranch that has hydronic heat, and this is just a cooling only system, is that when we got called in last summer, basically the thing runs 24/7 and doesn't cool. So when we came up in the attic, we were surprised to see this ductwork job here, which is the majority of the issue. So I'll kind of take you through some of it here. They're running, just a 1-inch filter up at the air handler. We don't like to do that because the odds of homeowners coming all the way up in the attic to change the filter is not very likely. But the major issue on this is the cold air return. This is a 2.5 ton system, remember. This is the return. I'll try to back up here if I can. One box bolted on, blanked off, 4 flex pipes. Okay, these are 7-inch flex pipes. Just sort of lay it on the ground, however the heck they want to go, and I'll show you where they go. They go to this thing they cut in the plate, and they nailed some panning, put some collars on it, and then kind of half-ass cut the top of the plate out, and there's a high wall return. This is like, on a good day, I don't know if I would even say this is a ton of air going to this thing right here. I mean, this is a really lazy return. I mean, this is not going to do much of anything, and this is obviously an issue from day one on the install. I mean, this is kind of crazy to think that this would work, because honestly, the supply ductwork isn't horrible, and we're going to keep the trunk in play for now. Let's see, but we're going to take all the flex out of the system, all this 6-inch flex, and we're going to hard pipe everything and sleeve it with insulation, and we're going to go up to 7-inch hard pipe and sleeve it with 8-inch sleeves. It's all sealing diffusers, so we're going to leave all that. We're going to add 2 sealing returns. Another issue that we're going to address here too are these drains. You get the primary and secondary here. There's no water sensing switch or float switch or wet switch or anything. There's no trap at the air handler, and they do go kind of uphill over that little beam there, and then they go down, they go to the basement. So we're going to fix all that up too, and we're also going to add in a April Air 2410 media air cleaner up here that will only need to be changed once a year. So that'll be something we'll do on a maintenance, so the homeowner won't have any filters to worry about. Just in the middle here of tearing out all the flex, and most of these are full of ice. So if you can hear the jiggling around in there, that is ice. You know, it's about 10 degrees outside today, so the attic's pretty cold up here. So it's actually kind of the perfect day to be doing this because we're not making a big mess. But all the flex is trashed. The system was never shut down for the winter months, so all that humid air inside the house went up all the diffusers and got inside all this flex and condensed and sat there in the saggy low spots. And so we're definitely going to have to start having the homeowners, you know, close the dampers down and close the filter grills down and close everything up for the winter, because this stuff is totaled. So we're just shooting a little video here of the progress that we made over the last day or so. We've got all the 6-inch flex removed, and all of these starting collars have been replaced and stepped up to the 7-inch on the entire supply. All the old 6-inch flex pipes for the supply runs were torn out, and we're only going to run flex for the sections that go under this kind of ridge where we can't really get in there with hard pipe. So, but that's all 7-inch, and all the diffusers were taken down and cut open to the 7-inch size and cleaned and put back up. And so from there over to the trunk here will all be hard piped with and sleeved, so there won't be any low spots anywhere anymore. So here are the new the improvements made to the existing return, where these were 7-inch pipes. So we've pieces of flex really that were just kind of laying on the ground. So we've cleaned it up, and these are hard piped with insulation sleeves, and a completely new return plenum installed and insulated. The old one was not insulated. And we've added 2 new returns, 2 new 12-inch returns, there and there. So we got a very short 12-inch return here that comes off the bottom of the plenum, and that goes to a 14 by 20 ceiling grate, and then the second one goes underneath, and that's going over to another 14 by 20 ceiling grate. And we've also changed out the 7-inch pipe here that goes to the
the other existing stuff that was already there. So we're just going to improve what was already there and then add the necessary amount of CFM with the 2 new sealing returns. Also, the Aprilaire media air cleaner. And since we are going to have such an excess of return air, it shouldn't be any sort of issue to have this pleated filter up here, because we're not going to run filters in the return grills. And so we should have closer to 3.5 to 4 tons of return air, and moving over 3.5 tons of supply air now, where before the system was so choked it was probably barely moving 1 ton of return air, trying to move it across a 3 ton evaporator and a 2.5 ton condenser. So okay, so we've just wrapped up changing out all the ductwork, and right now I'm running the fan on the air handler, and we've just been testing everything. So we're real happy with the flow we're getting out of those diffusers downstairs. The improvement is unbelievable. Upsizing all the supply to 7-inch and then carrying it with hard pipe all the way until we get down into the eaves, so very limited amount of flex on each run, and the flex that we do use, we pull tight and don't just lay it all over the floor. Makes an unbelievable difference. You know, when you're able to move 150 CFM out of each run, you know, real world and with the flex, I mean, it's a little less, but still a huge improvement over just the 6-inch completely flex pipes that were just strewn all about the floor, making lots of little S turns and who knows what. But the larger issue that we addressed was pretty much the lack of a return plenum and the lack of any return. So we added these 2 12-inch flex duct runs that go to some 14x20 ceiling grates in the center of the house. So there's one down there, goes underneath the air handler, and the second one here. These are just the improvements that were made to the existing return. You know, the existing return already had the high wall returns cut in, so you really can't eliminate them, and more return is definitely better. So these are 100% hard piped and sleeved with insulation, and there's 2 that go into that one plate, and then there's 2 more over here that go to another top plate with like a front to back return grills. Insulated the return. Old return was not insulated. We're gonna run no filters in the return grills downstairs, and instead just running one of the Aprilaire 2410 kits up here. And we definitely feel comfortable running it because of just the oversized return that we have now. The system is super quiet. You can barely hear this thing running downstairs. So the homeowners want to kind of stage this, and this air handler and condenser are low-end Goodman products, but they do still work, and they're going to hopefully get another season out of them. I put a trap on the condensate, which it didn't have before, and a wet switch I added for some safety. You know, this we didn't rehang the air handler or anything like that. We didn't touch the air handler other than adding a trap and a safety switch. The other thing is, over here we got rid of the low spot in the condensate drains and screwed them down to some 4x4s to kind of give them pitch off as they go, and then they drop down and they go down to the basement. So all in all, a pretty massive improvement